Hello everyone, my name is Oluwole Godwin and welcome to MOG Economics. Today we shall continue our discussion on monopoly, but then in today's topic we'll be talking about profit maximization in a monopoly. Profit maximization in a monopoly. Now we have two different periods generally in economics. We have the short run and the long run. The short run is simply the period where at least a factor of production is fixed, and then the long run is a period where all factors of production are variable, none of them is fixed. Now, when does a monopolist maximize profit? What do we even call profit maximization? We are simply talking about the point where the highest profit is made. Okay, that's simply what we mean. Okay, the quantity where the highest profit is made. Now, profit maximization is a combination of two things, which is revenue maximization. At least revenue is something good, so we maximize good things in economics and we try to minimize the bad things. Now, cost is an example of a bad thing, kind of just say like something that takes money away. So we try to minimize the extent to which money is taken away from us, and then we tend to maximize the extent to which money is returned onto us or given to us. So that is the two things that are embedded in profit maximization profit maximization. So when does a monopolist maximize profit? Basically, in any market structure, profit is maximized when the marginal cost is simply equal to the marginal revenue. Now, when the marginal cost is equal to the marginal revenue, the quantity is determined at that point, and then the price is then discovered through the demand curve as based on this market structure we're talking about, which is monopoly. So in this particular class, we have three different graphs that represent profit maximization of the monopolies in the short run. Now, there's something I really want you guys to know, which is simply the fact that profits can be made in the short run, loss could be made in the short run, and then there could be a break-even point in the short run. So remember that in our previous class I told you that it all depends on the demand curve that the monopolist is facing. Now, if the cost of production seems to be greater than the price that a producer could charge in a monopoly, that simply means that the producer is going to be incurring the cost and so on and so forth. Now, this is our very first graph. We have the marginal cost cutting the short-run average cost at its minimum point, which I really want you guys to note whenever you are plotting curves. And then this is the average revenue curve that is downward sloping, and then the marginal revenue curve, which is half as gentle as the average revenue curve. That it is steeper than the average revenue curve. Now, what I want us to check here is what is going on. Now, look at it. The marginal cost is cutting its short-run average cost at short-run average cost minimum point, but then the marginal cost is intersecting the marginal revenue curve at this point. So at this point, what the monopoly simply does is to find out the quantity. Now, you just trace it down to the quantity axis and it takes Q1 or whatever we like. Then we trace it up to the average cost curve to determine the average cost that the monopolist is incurring for that quantity. So we get here, okay, and then we trace that out to this point, and then we have AC, which means average cost. That's not the end of the story. So we further trace it up to the demand curve to determine the price that the producer is going to set at that particular in producing this particular quantity. So we trace it out, and this is P. Now, in this case, we discover that P is greater than AC. The price that a producer is charging in order to produce quantity Q1 is greater than the average cost of the commodity, and of course we expect a profit to occur at that particular point. When the price of the commodity is greater than the cost per unit of that commodity, of course there should be a profit, and that is what is happening here. So there is a positive economic profit, or what they call supernormal profit, or what we call abnormal profit. So whatever the grammar is, whatever the adjective is, we are talking about the same thing. Now, another way to state this is simply to say, okay, here I can simply say P is greater than AC, or I can simply say P multiplied by Q, that is P multiplied by Q, is greater than AC multiplied by Q. And what does that tell us? That total revenue is greater than the total cost. So why not? So that is a profit for us. Okay, says profit is total revenue minus total cost. Now we have the second graph. Okay, the same thing, but now look at the position of the short-run average cost. It is on the demand curve. So what we need to check again is where the marginal cost is intersecting the marginal revenue curve, and then we determine okay, a quantity. We trace the quantity to the short-run average cost curve, and then we determine, since it is on the demand curve, the price and the average cost at that point is the same. All right, so we bring this here. The average cost, we trace it out, and then the price is the same. We have P equals AC. As is P equals AC, this producer is at its break-even point, and that simply means there is zero economic profit and there is zero economic loss. All right. In one of our videos, we talked about the difference between economic profit and accounting profit. Now, there could be a firm like this that makes zero economic profit, but in real world, because profits are being calculated in accounting terms, okay, this firm might be making $1 billion. All right. So economic profit. So you can decide to see one of our videos on economic profit and accounting profit. All right. Then we have the third scenario where the short-term average cost curve is greater than the demand curve. Now, the same thing, okay, but then we have the short-run. The only difference here is that the short-run average cost curve is above the demand curve. We do marginal revenue equals marginal cost, which is here, we determine the quantity, and then what is the price? We get the price by tracing this to the demand curve, so we have this as the price. But then by the time we trace it at the average cost curve, we determine that the average cost is greater than the price. Alright, so which we could just state as average cost is greater than price, or in other words, we could say average cost multiplied by Q, average cost multiplied by this Q1 is greater than price multiplied by Q1, which simply means the total cost is greater than the total revenue. Okay, so it is possible that the cost of production that per unit that a monopoly incurs in this particular market in order to meet the demand of the commodity of this market is greater than the price it could charge. Alright, perhaps the monopoly just got into the industry and discovers that it's not worth it at all, that the demand for facing it is not really worth the cost of producing the commodity. So in this case, we have a loss. Okay, so there is a loss, there's an economic loss in this particular case. So these are the three cases that we could have in the short run, and this is simply the same thing that we could have in the long run. Now, when we're talking about the perfect market, we're talking about having different scenarios. In the short run, we could have profit, we could have loss, and which determines entry and exits in the entry and exit, of course, in the long run. But then there is no entry and exits for a monopoly. There's no free entry and then free exit for a monopoly. Nobody can enter, it's just simply one firm. Okay, so if a monopolist is making a profit in the short run, the profit remains in the long run. And in fact, in the long run, simply because all the factors of production are variable, we expect the monopolist to produce at a lower average cost than it was producing in the short run. Now, in the short run, some factors of production were fixed. Okay, the monopolist could not change them, could not change the way it mixes them up with other factors of production, and because of that, it might not be able to incur lower average cost. But then, because it is now in the long run, it can vary all of its factors of production. So we expect the monopolist to be able to check different mix of its factors of production that could give him the lowest cost possible. Alright, so if the monopolists were making a supernormal profit in the short run, we expect him to make a higher supernormal profit in the long run. And if the monopolists were making a loss in the short run, we expect him to make a profit in the long if the monopolists were making a loss in the short run, of course the monopolists might start to make a profit in the long run. Now, it is not definite that the monopolists will make a profit in the long run, but it is more likely that a monopolist will make a profit in the long run. And in the long run as well, if the average cost curve simply happens to be okay on the demand curve in the long run, so what then do we see? We then discover that a monopolist can also make a zero economic profit in the long run, but that is not because of free entry, because no one is entering, it is just the monopoly. So what is really likely is that a monopolist continues to make supernormal profits in the long run. Okay, it was making that in the short run, and that is very likely in the long run. And do not forget that there could be different scenarios. I'm just saying that rationally, okay, what is going to seem likely is going to be the making of abnormal profits in the short run as well as in the long run. So that's about that. In one of our videos, we'll be talking about capacity utilization and then the monopoly profits, but it's not going to be in this particular video. Now, okay, now we have a mathematical question. I want to test our skills and what we learned in theory concerning a monopolist. Okay, so the question is simply, A monopolist demand function is P equals 1400 minus 7.5Q. Now I want us to know that this is an inverse demand function, and that's not a big deal. We have an inverse demand function when we make P the subject of the demand function. Now total cost function is Q raised by 3 minus 6Q raised by 2 plus 140Q plus 750. So the assignment here now is to find the profit maximizing output and price, and then calculate the profit at this point. So how do we go about that? Profit is simply total revenue minus total cost. Fine. Now total revenue is defined as the price multiplied by the quantity. Now total revenue, we have price, we have demand function expressed in terms of quantity, that is price is the subject. So what we just do is to multiply the whole function times Q. So this P here, because P times Q that gives us a TR, then the function 1400 minus, we multiply that by 2. So PQ now, which is the same as TR, is now 1400Q minus 7.5. Okay, there is a Q here. Sorry for that. Okay, 7.5 then times Q, which is 7.5 Q squared. Now we repeat total cost function as this, according to what we have. Now profit is maximized where MR is equal to MC, just as we've been saying in theory. Now MR is simply change in TR over change in Q. Now note that I'm using a total differential symbol, which is the TR, the Q. Okay, then equals. So how do we get that? I believe from our calculus, simple calculus skills, we know that okay, when we differentiate this with respect to Q, then this becomes 1400, then minus here 2 comes here to multiply 7.5, and that is 15. Then Q is left with the power of 1, which is 15, which is 15Q. Now we do the same thing for marginal cost, which is the change in total cost divided by change in quantity. Okay, and that is this. Okay, so we have 3 coming here. Okay, we are going to be having 3Q squared minus 2 we multiply 6, 12, then Q is left with power of 1Q, then plus 140Q. Alright, so by the time we differentiate this, it becomes 140Q raised to power 1 minus 1, okay, and 1 minus 1 is 0, so Q raised to power 0 is just 1, and then it disappears, so we have plus 140. Now, since profit maximization point is simply where MR is equal to MC, so what we just have to do is to set MR equal MC. Now this is MR that equals MC. So we collect that things. Okay, so what really happened here? We then have 3Q squared, then minus 12Q. This guy came here to become plus 15Q, and then we have 3Q here, and then minus this 140. Then this guy came here, minus that's 140 minus 1400 to give us 1260. So we have a quadratic function. So how do we get Q from this quadratic function? We simply use the general formula, which is Q equals minus B plus or minus B squared and all of that. So the coefficient of Q squared is the A. The coefficient of Q is the B, okay, and whatever is here, the constant is C. So by the time we apply this, we have minus B, okay, so which is B is 3, so we have minus 3 plus or minus B squared is 3 squared, and that is 9, minus 4, okay, from the formula, then A is 3, then C is minus 1 to 6, so do not forget the minus sign, okay, it belongs to 1 to 60, minus 1 to 16, and all of that divided by 2, then into bracket A, which is 3. So we have minus 3 plus or minus, by the time we do with all of this, we have 15129, then divided by 6. So we continue here, so Q equals minus 3 plus roots 15129 is simply 123 over 6. Now because we have plus or minus here, so Q equals minus 3 minus 1 to 3, which is minus 1 to 6, or minus 3 plus 1 to 3, which is 120, then the both of them divided by 6. So Q equals minus 21 or Q equals 20. Now, our quantity produced cannot be negative, so we choose where Q equals 20. Alright. Having done that, how do we get the price? Since the price function is given as 1,400 minus 7.5Q, what we just have to do is to substitute the value of Q, which is 20 in the demand function. So we have P equals 1,400 minus 7.5 into bracket 20. Now, 1,400 minus this time, this is going to give us 150. Then this minus this is 1,000. So the price that will be charged when 20 units is sold is 1,050. Okay. Then the next thing is to calculate the profit that is made at that particular period of at that particular quantity. So profits is given as total revenue minus total cost. So what is total revenue? Which is simply price multiplied by quantity, which is 1,250 times 20, and that will give us 25,000. Now what is total cost? Now using the total cost function, which is 20Q minus 6 Q squared plus 142 brackets Q and minus 750. So we just substitute 20 into it, and then we have 20Q minus 6 to bracket 20, then all of that, and that gives us 9,150. So profits in this case is now CR minus TC, which is 15,008. It's a large profit. Okay, if we compare the proportion of the total cost with that of the total revenue, like the total cost, the total revenue is almost 3 times the total cost. Now, is profit maximized at this point? Okay, so how do we know if profit is maximized? What we have to do is to get the profit function and differentiate it 2 times. Okay, now this is the profit function TR minus TC. So we bring back the TR function now, which is 4,400Q minus 7.5Q squared, then minus. Now the total cost must be in brackets so that we don't make mistakes with this minus sign, because this minus sign is meant to affect everything in the bracket. So if the bracket is not there, of course, there's going to be, or there's a likelihood of students making a mistake. So we repeat this, then minus multiply this, we have minus QQ, minus multiply this, we have plus 6Q squared, minus multiply this, we have minus 140Q, then minus multiply this, we have plus 750. Okay, so when we collect items, we have this, subtract this, so we have 1260Q minus this plus this, 1.5Q squared, then minus Q raised by 3, then plus 750. So what is the first differential, which is the profit with respect to Q? Okay, note that this is also total differential again. Okay, we have 1260 minus 3Q. Okay, because when we differentiate this, Q gets away, then we have 1260 minus, when we differentiate 1.5Q squared, okay, it becomes 3Q. 2 comes here, multiplies 1.5, then we have 3, then Q, then minus, by the time we differentiate this, we have 3 comes here, Q then raised by 3 minus 1, so that's 3Q squared. Now 750 does not have any element of Q, so it's a constant and then it becomes 0. That's the way we are going to. So we do the second differential, which is d squared profits divided by the quantity squared, which is this is the constant now. Okay, then it becomes 0. Then minus 3Q will become minus 3 alone. Okay, then we have minus 3Q squared again to become minus 6Q. Okay, so what we just have to do here is to input the quantity that we got from our answer into this. So when we do that, we have a minus 1, 2, 3. Now, whenever we have a minus, whenever we have a second differential that gives us a minus, it simply means whatever it is that we're doing is maximized. Now, let me show you in the bits. If you've not seen this before in any of my previous videos, now we have something like this, which is concave. Then we have something like this, which is convex to the horizontal axis. Now, when we do the first differential, we are trying to get if something is a minimum point or a maximum point. Of course, when we are at the top like this, we expect our slope to be equal to 0. Okay, or when we are at the bottom like this, we expect our slope to be equal to 0, and that's exactly what we do when we do the first differential and set it equal to 0. Okay, so we are trying to get, we are trying to check where we are, whether we are at the maximum point or a minimum point. Now, by the time we do the second differential, so if the second differential is negative, it's simply telling us that from the first differential we did, from when the slope was 0 to this new point, the slope has changed to being negative. Now, look at this particular point. So when we check the slope here, which is the first differential, okay, the profit, the Q, or maybe something like the Y, the X, or stuff like that. Okay, so the slope here is expected to be 0. So by the time we differentiate again, look at it, the curve is now downward sloping, and the downward sloping curve has a negative slope. So that simply tells us that we are coming from a maximum point. So if we differentiate the second time and then we have a negative sign, a negative sign, that is a negative slope, that is informing us that, okay, before getting to this point, we must have been coming from a maximum point. Okay, then when we have something like this, okay, when we do the Y, the X, the profits, the Q, differential of something, okay, then the first differential of something, okay, and we have this point equals 0, of course, at this point. So we differentiate again, and then we have a positive value, that is, after leaving here the slope was 0, okay, we are already on another point where the slope is now positive. Okay, that simply tells us that, okay, where we are coming from is a minimum point. Okay, for us to have a slope of 0 there and now have a positive slope, so we must have been coming from, look at it, for us to have a slope of 0 here and to have a positive slope here, so it simply means we are coming from a minimum point. So that is just the explanation behind all of this. Okay, so here, if you have a negative sign, it simply means we are coming from a maximum point towards another point that has negative, another portion of the curve that has a negative slope. So this tells us that our profit is indeed maximized. So now we have to depict one of our results on a graph. Okay, so we need some things. Now our price is 1 to 50 from what we've got. Then where the marginal cost intersects the marginal revenue. So this is the marginal revenue function. We derived that to before. 1,400 minus 15Q. So just put in the value of 20 and then we have a marginal revenue of 1,100. Since we set M equals MC, we expect MC also to be equal to 1,100. You could decide to solve MC on your own and you're going to get the same answer. I bet that. Alright, so what is the average cost? Because this is at the point that we need to denote on the graph. Now average cost or average total cost, simply total cost divided by quantity. So total cost was 9,150, okay. Then we divided by the 20, that happens to be the quantity, so we have 457.5. And I'll discuss the graph now. We have the MC curve intersecting the MR curve at this point, which is point A. So what then do we have to do? We just have to trace it out to where the average total cost curve is, not the average cost at this point. Now, this particular graph is different from what we've been drawing before, in that the average total cost curve is just beneath the intersection of the marginal cost curve and the marginal revenue curve. But then there's no problem. Okay, so we trace that here and then we get this 457.5, okay, which was here. Then the marginal revenue is intersecting the marginal cost curve at this point at 1,100. Okay, and then we trace that to the demand curve in order to get the price that is charged. And the price that is charged is 1,250. Alright, so this graph is not drawn to scale, so we shouldn't really bother about the difference between the points not being a reflection of what they should actually be. Okay, so what do you observe from this point? The P is greater than the average cost, and in fact it's far greater than the average cost. Okay, so all of these from here to here, all of this rectangle represents the profit. Okay, and this in this case the producer is making an abnormal profit. Okay, the profit is really large. All right, so when we take the proportion, like I said before, it's a larger profit. Okay, so that's about this particular video. We shall be talking about a monopolist producing two goods in one of our videos after this, and then we'll talk about stuff like price discrimination and so on and so forth in our subsequent video. So thank you very much for your patience. Thank you very much for seeing this video. If you like it, please click on the like button, share it with your friends, and click on the subscribe button to get to see more of our videos as well. I'll see you next time. My name is Oluwole Godwin.